to reach Muslims. After he graduated from high school, his parents sent him on a tour around the world. And as he traveled to Europe and to Asia and the Middle East, God began to call him and work in his life and called him to reach out to the lost people who had never heard the gospel. So he wrote home to tell his parents that he was giving his life to Jesus on the mission field. On that trip, he wrote 2 words in the back of his Bible: no reserves. He knew that following Jesus in this way would require a complete commitment to him. His father insisted that he attend university, so he enrolled in Yale. In his freshman year there, he found that his passion for Christ was not shared by very many people there on campus. So he began meeting with a friend who shared the same passion that he did, and they began to read the Bible and pray together and have Bible study. Before long, other students joined in them, and by the time he was a senior, there was over 1,000 students that were part of his group. One entry that he recorded in his journal during that time simply said, "Say no to self and yes to Jesus every time." During his time at Yale, Gordon founded and personally funded the Yale Hope Mission in an effort to rehabilitate alcoholics and addicts. His father died when he was at Yale, leaving William with a significant amount of income. Upon graduation from Yale, Gordon wrote 2 more words in the back of his Bible. He said, "no retreats." He knew that following Jesus meant that he couldn't look back. He knew Jesus was calling him to go on the world mission field, and he had decided to take the gospel to the people in China. But before going to China, he went to Egypt, where he would learn, or try to learn, the Arabic language and prepare for his ministry to Muslims. While he was there in Egypt, he caught spinal meningitis and died at the age of 25 and was buried in Cairo. Now, we might say today that he didn't make a very good trade. He gave up his family fortune, he gave up his family, he gave up a future career to follow Jesus as a missionary, and died before he ever got to go on his life's dream. But this man who sparked a revival at Yale and ministered to hundreds through his missions has inspired thousands of missionaries with his commitment. And he knew that he had made the right decision. After his death, there were 3 phrases found written in the inside of his Bible: no reserves, no retreats, and no regrets. Let me ask you today, is that the way that we're living our life as a follower of Christ? No reserves, no retreats, no regrets? Is that the way that we're living our life as a follower of Christ? Let me ask you this question. What would change if we were to go all out and completely surrender and be committed to following Christ in our life? We don't know, do we? Imagine that when your life is over, that instead of being taken directly to heaven, you find yourself sitting and watching a great big giant screen TV. Put your imagination cap on. The title of the movie flashes up on the screen, and it says, "Fan or Follower, a what-if story about," you can put your name, "a what-if story about," whoever you are. In the first scene, you see a date that you went on with someone who isn't a Christian. You had fun. You decided to pursue it. And after a while, you decided to get married. But things didn't go so well after you decided to marry. He or she changed from being fun to being someone that you didn't recognize. What if you had invited that person to church while you were dating? The scene changes. You see yourself on the job. Person comes by your office. You recognize the person, but you can't quite place their name. But what you do remember is that they were one of those high-maintenance people that was always in need of something, and every time you saw them come, you would kind of dodge and duck them because you didn't want to have to hear their problems. But in the movie, things go differently. You sit down and ask them, "Can I pray with you?" Scene changes once again. You and your spouse are watching TV. You always did it. The nightly ritual. But in the movie, you turn off the TV, and the two of you get down on your knees, and you hold hands, and you pray. You're different now. There's joy and there's satisfaction that you have never known. Because this is a what-if situation. Let me ask you today, Sister Dean, you can make it. What are the scenes that would unfold differently in your life if you were a true follower of Christ rather than a fan of Christ? What would your life look like if you followed Jesus completely? No excuses, wherever, whenever, and whatever it took. The most common reason that people give for not following Christ is they want to get their lives together first. That sounds good, doesn't it? I mean, you want to take the invitation of Christ seriously, and you want to take it so seriously that you want to get things right before you start serving Christ. You want to get your life turned around and going in the right direction. But when Jesus invites you to follow Him, His invitation comes from right where you are. He doesn't want you to wait until tomorrow in hopes that you'll finally be headed down the right path. He wants you to say yes today so He can lead you out of wherever you are right now. I expect that most of us in here have used your phone or the internet to try to get directions from someplace. And if you've ever done that, usually the first question that comes up when you do that is this: directions from your current location. In other words, do you want directions from where you are right now? Anybody ever done that? Anybody ever said it? Yeah. Directions from your current location. It doesn't ask you where it is you've been, does it? It doesn't care where you've been. In order to give you the right and proper and correct directions, it wants to know where you are right then. And when you say yes, it begins calculating your route, not from where you started or the direction you should be headed, but from where you're located at right at that moment. When Jesus invites us to follow Him, He wants you to start from your current location in life. He doesn't care about where you've been. We've all got a been. We've all got that past. We've all got a past life. But Christ says that you have a present life as well. You have a future life. And that's where I want to carry you to. I want to carry you to the future life. I don't care about the past life. I don't care about the bend. I don't care about where your plow has been. I want to see where you're plowing to. We don't have to go back to where we started. You don't need to get a little closer on your own. In fact, you can't get closer on your own. He reaches out to you by grace and loves and invites you to follow Him right through there. He wants you to start following Him right where you are. And you know what? He wants you to start right now. Would you bow your heads? This invitation and this message that Christ is trying to get across to us is a twofold or two-pronged message. It affects someone who's never given their heart and life to Christ before. He says, I want you to start following me now. Doesn't matter where you've been. Doesn't matter what you've done. I just want you to start following me now. I want you to give your heart and life to me. But the other part of the message is, I don't care how long you've been serving me. I want you to grow in the grace and the knowledge and the love of Jesus Christ and get stronger in your relationship with me. So regardless of how long you've been following me, I want you to start following me a little closer. Right where you are. So right now, with heads bowed and eyes closed, I'm just going to ask a simple question. If I have described you this morning, if that's you, you're not where you want to be, where Christ wants you to be, rather, doesn't matter where you want to be. If you're not where Christ wants you to be, just raise your hand, slip it up, and right back down. So that's me, preacher. I want you to pray for me. Anybody? Yes. Yes. Anyone else?